Well, as yesterday you said after the game that there was a clear message, that it's clear that the team received it and that you wanted to see what you guys would come up off the mat and do. Tonight obviously happens. Just what's the message that you try to portray and give to them after a game like tonight?
Well, I mean, you're trying to create positives, right? Because the start of that game is about as bad as I've ever experienced. And so what you're trying to do is create positives based off of a really negative beginning to a day. And so if you can create any positive momentum to try to carry, into an inning, the next inning, and, into another game tomorrow, that's what you're trying to do.
Washington obviously gets off to that hot start, nine in the first. Just what did they do from the very get-go that got Jackson Pace out of his game?
Well, they hit him. They hit him. They hit the ball all over the yard against him. Whether it was backside hits, I credit Coach Boyer for being a guy. Billy Boyer's their hitting coach. He did a fantastic job preparing those guys, game planning and executing against Jackson in the first inning. I mean, it was textbook, about as good as I've seen.
Where do you go from here with Pace, who's had some struggles lately, been giving up a lot of hits?
Oh, I don't. I mean, he's a young arm. Young arms have tough days. That was about as tough a day as a young guy can ever have. I'm going to go back and review the tape before I comment.
For Dallas as well, he has a tough outing in the sixth there. He's allowed 12 earned runs in his last 4 appearances. Do you feel like this is more of him just running out of energy at this point in the season, or do you think that guys or other teams are just hitting him well?
Yeah, same thing. I didn't think the contact against him was super great. They had some seeing eye jobs. They had about 3 or 4 jam shots against him that went for hits, and they count too, But I'd have to review the tape and see exactly where those pitches were and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, I mean, he hasn't trended in a great direction here recently, and we're aware of that.
What'd you think about Turner's performance coming in and kind of settling in for a few innings at least?
No, he definitely settled in for a few innings. I thought he did a very good job. I thought Ian Umlaut did a very good job. I think those guys did an outstanding job with their opportunity today for sure.
Drew Smith got another couple hits tonight. That's 9 straight games with a hit. Just what have you seen from him offensively, and then plus defense over there at third?
Yeah, I mean, he's been playing good at third defensively. He squared a couple balls up too, and he flew out to the deep right field wall a couple of times too. I just really impressed. He doesn't look like a freshman. He looks like he's comfortable in the box and on the field, and he's a really good player, and he's showing it.
Also got a couple more hits tonight, I think 2 on the day. Just how nice is it to see him get a couple to drop and just kind of boost his confidence going forward.
Well, again, we're just looking for positives to where, you can hopefully get something, and you never know when something is going to be the moment where a guy gets ignited or something like that, to where, he can carry something into a hot streak. If a guy like Jacob Walsh or Drew Smith, any of these guys get on fire, I mean, they can really do some damage to opposing pitching staffs. And so, especially when you're required to score a lot of runs right now in the last 2 nights. That's what we need. Those guys get hot. And once those guys get hot, hopefully they can, we never felt like we were going to lose the game until the last out was made. We were going to contribute and keep grinding, keep battling up there. And the bottom line is we couldn't, we ran out of outs. But, in terms of the energy and in terms of the at-bats, I thought the guys were battling and grinding.
You guys have come back from deficits all year long, including the 10 against Arizona earlier in the year. Just the last 2 games, though, these felt like pretty big deficits to go. And just how much pressure is that on your offense to continue to perform above and beyond when your pitchers can't go through?
Well, it's a lot of pressure, but still you got to look at it as you got a 9-inning game. It doesn't matter when they score runs. If they scored 9 in the 9th or 9 in the 1st, it doesn't make any difference. They still got 9. And so you're trying to just to get it through to where you're just playing each inning, and it doesn't matter when they score or whatever. Every inning's a fresh inning. You got 9 innings, score as many as you can. And it doesn't matter what the opponent does. You just got to focus on the fact, and it's hard because, there's emotions involved, and boy, you get down and all that kind of stuff. But, we try to teach them not to get emotional with that. And it's just a deal where you get the rest of the game until the game ends. You just keep scoring as many as you can.
With Matthew Grabman, he's sitting in dugout watching Mercado and Pace get hit around. Just what do you say to him to, just kind of forget about those 2 games and just do his thing tomorrow?
Well, I think you point to the guys that have good performances. You point to McShane, you point to Umlaut, you point to Spojeric, you point to those guys, and you say, well, what are these guys doing that the other guys aren't doing? And let's talk about it. And so when he sits next to me, I ask him those questions. I say, what do you see? Tell me in your eyes and in your lens what you see. And he's a smart kid. He has all the right answers when he's seeing it. It's pretty obvious. When the ball's down in the zone, the breaking ball's down in the dirt or commanded for a strike when he needs it, things get a lot easier and it's manageable. And that's what Ian did, and that's what Turner did when they were having success. That's what McShane did when he was having success, and probably any other pitcher that we see when they're having success. So I don't think it's a real secret. I think Matthew's a very intelligent kid. These young guys all have big upsides, and we just got to be patient with them.
This is 5 losses out of the last 6 games. Obviously, you mentioned that you try to look to all the positives that you can, but what else are you telling the team? There's only a handful of games left in the regular season, and you move to the Pac-12.
You just got to control what you can control. You're not into looking at whatever scenarios people want to talk about. That doesn't matter. What talks about is what you can control when you get to the ballpark, and specifically each and every at bat, each and every defensive rep, each and every pitch, and you're just focusing on that. You're not focusing on the scoreboard.